Spotify knows me better than my husband. Spotify always has the right tunes where my husband may put on something that I'm just not in the mood for. And through AI personalization and data-driven insights, they're able to do that.
Some companies succeed and some companies fail, being willing to disrupt their own success. BlackBerry, they were so invested in modifying the physical keyboards, but Apple came in with the touch screens and just revolutionized the whole market.
Companies are receiving a lot of our information because we're voluntarily giving that information. So how do you assess that and ensure that you're paying attention to what the customers are voicing as pain points?
Hey, welcome to another edition of Two Lit Chicks podcast. Woo. It's your girl Fern Johnson here. Alicia Makaya is still out on medical leave, but we have three lit chicks who are going to join us for today's discussion on digital disciplines. And so we have three phenomenal ladies here, all hailed from HP at some point in their lives. We have Ericka Hayes coming in from Houston. Give Houston a shout out. We have Shauna Mitchell also coming in from Houston. And then we have Ms. L.I.T hailing in from ATL. Let's give ATL a shout. Let me just share just a little bit of information about these three phenomenal sisters before we get into everything that's about this book called Digital Disciplines. So L.I.T is from ATL. She's a former director of strategic programs, print, software, platforms, and solutions at HP. She has prior experience as a product manager at AT&T, and she is a proud graduate of NCAT organization, university.
Yes.
Next up is Ms. Shauna Mitchell, who hails from Houston. She's had several positions in HR and oil and gas industry, and she transitioned into the tech sector because she said, hey, I can't stay oil and gas. I'm going to broaden my experience and do much more than just that. And so she currently serves as the Senior HR Business Partner supporting the Technology and Innovation Office at HP, and she is a Texas A&M graduate. She's passionate about employer empowerment, org development, and fully harnessing operational capabilities. Welcome, girl.
Thank
and
you.
then lastly, my girl Ericka Hayes in Houston. So this is where HR and technology merge. She's held several positions within HR supporting the IT function or companies. She serves currently as the business strategist for the Office of the People Organization. So she's business strategist for the SVP at HP, SVP of People Organization at HP. She's led cross-functional projects focused on talent management, organizational development, and operational efficiency. We are all members or associated with an organization called IT Senior Management Forum, ITSMF, or as we like to call it, It's My Family. And so ITSMF is a nonprofit organization that passionately drives to nurture, connect, and develop leaders in technology. Based out of Atlanta, but they have members all over the country and some abroad. And you ladies are all going through something called ITSMF's Management Academy program.
Yes.
And you are a part of the 2024-2025 cohort. So you'll graduate in June. Today, we're talking about this book, Digital Disciplines. I like the fact that they had relative case stories that we could identify with companies and brands like Nike and Amazon that we could just easily identify with. So let's talk about how can we look at powerful strategies and real-world application to implement digital across your entire organization via the cloud, big data, social, mobile, and the Internet of Things. And he's really picking apart those different disciplines and how you can bring them to life. The first one is all about data. And this whole information excellence is a part of it, being a digital discipline. Al, can you kind of take us through your perspective around the whole information excellence discipline, what that means in the book, what that means to you, and how you bring that to life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think information excellence, as outlined in the book, is really more about not just utilizing data as a reporting tool, right? Not just capturing it and storing it and then pulling out data as needed. Instead, you really want to use it as a source in which you analyze it, you act on it, and then you also monetize on it. How can we look at this data to ensure that we're creating differentiation in regards to how we present our products, define and build our products? Also, how do we improve our operational efficiencies in regards to our business? And then also, as what's really key for today with AI is how do we drive automation by utilizing that big data? So some of the key things also that are associated with is driving customer satisfaction. So we get a lot of companies are receiving a lot of our information because we're voluntarily giving that information. So how do you assess that and ensure that you're paying attention to what the customers are voicing as pain points, as well as things that you're doing right and continue to, deliver on those good things, but then also tweak and improve upon those bad things so you can continue to gain more customers and retain your existing customers.
All right. That was a mouthful. I got it. I got it. So how do I apply this to my everyday?
I think from a leader in tech, it's really about ensuring that you're working with your analytics department and ensuring that you're not only just taking that information and, looking at it for the number of customers that you acquired in that quarter and what was our, ROI and our revenue, but also what are some current trends that we are identifying as some potential gaps that we can go in and make some improvements, process improvements. Again, we have AI, so there's new ways in which that data can be analyzed and assessed, and we can find bigger loopholes and then strategize and identify in which order, we can grab some of those low-hanging fruits and make some simple improvements for our customers.
I think it's excellent. I also, so wearing my old cybersecurity hat, we had something called Trust But Verify. And with all the AI is speeding up how we get information, how much information we can consume, we also have to verify that that data is accurate. So data accuracy and governance around that data, I think, is also important as we think about the speed of which we're taking in all of these inputs of data, driving our analysis to drive decisions. So that's
Absolutely.
a little piece I'd add to just to that section. All right, so now we're going to say a little bit more about this information excellence and how data drives almost everything, if not everything. But I think that's a nice dovetail in the collective intimacy because we're taking that data and we're using it to build stronger customer relationships. We're using it in social media. We're using it in our business communities. Ericka, can you talk to us a little bit about what this discipline means and then how you're applying it to your daily life?
Yeah, absolutely. I know collective intimacy, it sounds like a contradiction. Like, how do you create these deep personal connections at scale? Well, that really is the magic of this discipline. Collective intimacy is about the customer. Customers don't want to just buy a product, they want to buy relationships, they want to buy experiences, and most of all, they want to buy emotions. And the brands that can master that are the ones that are really selling because what they're creating is trust, exclusivity, and belonging. And through AI personalization and data-driven insights, they're able to do that. And it's why I feel like Spotify knows me better than my husband does. When it's time to put on a good mix for the mood I'm in, Spotify always has the right tunes where my husband may put on something that I'm just not in the mood for. And so the real game changer with this discipline is that they make a digital experience feel very personalized. And the brands that really do it well are the luxury brands like Gucci, who has their personalized shopping experience, not only in the store with your high-end concierge, but also when you go online, they have all of your data. You've bought this purse, now this scarf will go well with it. Or when you go to Starbucks is recommending not only the beverage you bought last time, but the new beverage that's similar to the product that you've bought last time. So it's all about creating an experience and building emotions with the customer.
I think we all have fallen prey to that as well. I am the 4 a.m. I've got the device here, and I'm the 4 a.m.er with the device, and I'm like, ooh, I'm the worst because I'm like, oh my God, I need that. Oh, well, how'd they know I wanted to look at a dog collar for my new dog, Dolly? How'd they know? Dolly, say hello to everybody. Dolly. How'd they know I needed a Gucci collar for Dolly? Right? And then all of a sudden, Gucci collar starts popping up. No, I agree. The higher the price point on the capability or higher the price point on the item, they have really crafted, we have to cultivate that relationship, because that means what? You're a return customer. And so the data helps them not say, well, we know Fern's a sucker at 4 a.m. and when she's up, she's buying. So let's just push it over. All right. We're having a little fun with it, for I know we're recording this a little bit later in the evening, and so we're having a little fun with it. But it's serious, but it's also true that, it's smart in order to say, okay, how do they buy? When do they buy? How do I then cater to them so that I'm putting the right data in front of them? And if I do that, I'm a salesperson, it's all about the sales. So let's pivot a little bit to Shauna and talk about accelerated innovation. And how do we speed up the development and improve the cycles through cloud, mobile, and IoT technologies? Give it away. Shauna, give us a little bit of perspective on that discipline, and then how do we apply it?
Absolutely. And I really thought that this was really kind of at high point in the book itself, when it really got a chance to dive into that accelerated innovation. I mean, if you kind of take a step back and really just think about innovation in itself, that's really that driving force that has that capacity for that growth in not only company value, revenue, but also EBITDA. And EBITDA, just so everyone's aware, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. But just think of it as the financial health assessment of an organization. But just getting back to the author and how he really lays out just that power of innovation and why it can be a game changer. I mean, when you really think about how some companies succeed and how some companies fail, often it's a differentiator of a company being willing to disrupt their own success. Someone can have sustained success in a particular area and not be looking to, okay, well, how will this change? How will this evolve to make sure that the company doesn't become stagnant? I think about, and this was one of the examples in the book, BlackBerry. I mean, they were so invested in modifying the physical keyboards, but Apple came in with the touch screens and just revolutionized the whole market. So you can just imagine just the dismay of that change as well. So really appreciate that topic within the book. And, when I think about acceleration of it, time, speed of execution is so critical. More now than ever. I mean, it can be the difference between dominating market share or failing and having wasted investment. So definitely making sure companies are learning fast, even failing fast, learning quickly and iterating to really win in the marketplace. From an everyday perspective, I think of it from a talent perspective. How are you looking at what technology or new innovations may come and disrupt your skill set? Are you proactively looking at the skills you not only need now, today, but also into the future? And are you going after those full steam ahead? So that's my application piece.
So you said something that really resonated with me, and that was iterate to win. Iterate to win. And it wasn't just about succeeding quickly, but failing fast. And it's both sides of that equation that make that iteration process and going through that quickly, because you are going to have failure and then you're going to have successes, and you might have 10 failures and then that last success is tenfold or 100-fold, but you have to keep that process going in order to really drive the value in what you're doing. So I love this, having this space to accelerate innovation, and I could speak this for my 30 years in corporate America or the global workspace. A lot of companies don't put the dollars aside for innovation. Do you have a perspective on why we don't put the dollars aside for innovation?
More companies are realizing the business imperative of it, and what they're trying to do in some instances is shift investment. So maybe it's not significant amount of new funding coming in, but how do we redeploy, reevaluate where we're spending the money and shift that to where the investment needs to go for innovation as well. So definitely employing folks to take a look, scratch under the surface and get an idea of where you're spending the money and if there are some opportunities to shift that investment.
So let's talk about the pitfalls. Oh, no, wait. Before we talk about pitfalls, we have one more discipline to talk about. And there's a fourth party in your group, in your girl group, in your superpower group that couldn't be with us here tonight. But she talked about solution leadership. And that's how we create integrated products and services to solve customer needs. And I know that we all, if we are in corporate America, or if you're in global America, global workspace, you're trying to solve a need and a business need. And having leadership in understanding and defining that need, and then determining how do you resolve that in an effective way that adds value for your customer is key. Can you guys give us a perspective on this discipline and how the author brings that to life? Joe Weinman brings that to life in his book.
Just add one item here, and that's just making sure your customer is at the center of it all. You're starting with that customer, understanding that customer intimately again, really evaluating the value that the customer is looking for, those things that the customer doesn't realize that they're looking for, but actually need. So really having that customer be part of that centered focus.
Makes sense. Ericka or Al?
I think Shauna hit it on the head. Basically, it's looking at what does the customer need. We're identifying pain points, and then what can we provide for them that they're not even aware that they need, right? I think one of the key things as a consumer, as all of us, right, are looking at it from our personal lens when we're buying new products is, what is this? How is this product going to make my life better? How does it make things easier? How does it take away some of the stressors of the day, right? And one of the key ones that I'll think about is Netflix, right? I think we've heard the story of how Netflix has evolved over the years, but again, it was the utilization of not only information excellence, but also solution leadership, right? They identified ways in which they could lean in for their customers, from evolving from delivering DVDs to your home to now it's, a digital platform. And they're also based off of how you're looking at series or movies, et cetera, on their platform. They then provide to you solutions or suggestions on things. It's basically a curated experience for you, just like Ericka talked about Spotify. So again, it's how can you think for the customer to make their experience more seamless and easier for them, because we're all stressed out throughout the day. So we would love just a little bit more help with some of these products to help our life be a little bit more simplistic and easy, and the ability to have a little bit of luxury out of it.
Ericka, do you have a perspective too on the space?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I loved Shauna's comment about making sure the customer is the center, and Aljanita's point about Netflix quickly pivoting and having innovation to go from delivering to the customer in a physical form for it to be digital, but also ensuring that your leadership is willing to make changes and make those mistakes and those failures to realize where the customers are. So ensuring that the leadership is the right leadership in place to innovate to the next level.
100% agree. I mean, I think that leadership drives the iterations, drives the failing fast, giving that space to have that money to say, we're going to lean into this quickly, see if it works, test pilot it, worked, great, scale. Work did not work, pull back, and let's divert our efforts to elsewhere. So I think it's having that leadership and someone who believes in the short-term win and the long win, because it takes both in order to make this successful. All right, so any pitfalls, anything that you should watch out for that we haven't talked about?
What are the pitfalls with collective intimacy? I can say from personal experience, I'm an Apple user. I even use the Apple Nike Running Club, which is attached to my Apple Watch. It's been tracking my steps and my workouts, and even recommending new workouts for me based on the milestones that I've achieved. And it's great having that personal coach and my friends be able to see it. We all have challenges and we take pictures and it's all there. But at the same time, I'm locked into an iPhone. To switch from an iPhone to an Android would be the equivalent of probably me packing up and moving to another country, because it would be a physical hardship for me to leave how everything is in the single ecosystem. There are the benefits of it all being in one location, and it's one device that I can grab, but at the same time, they have all of my data. And I am not the owner of it, meaning if I switch to Android, I have to be willing to say goodbye to all of that data.
I couldn't agree with you more. So I'll give you a little bit of story that I'll share with everyone. So I'm rewiring. I've recently retired from PepsiCo, and I was not on an Apple device for my main laptop. My everyday working machine was an a Windows-based machine for the longest. And I decided to pivot. I'm going to go Mac. Everyone says Mac is better. Either do a lot of videos, presentations, go to Mac. And so I said, okay, for a year, I'm going to try to do both. That was disastrous for me. I have my left brain and my right brain were like, what are we doing? Girl, what is you doing, right? And I finally just had to say, you know what? I've got to put this Windows machine to the side and just focus on Mac because I couldn't. I was trying to do Windows by day and Mac by night. I mean, that just was not working for me. So I totally understand that perspective. I think what gets tricky is, and Microsoft's a phenomenal platform, is that some of the tools are embedded, and next thing you know, you're using OneNote or you're using OneDrive, and it's like you go to Apple and like, hey, I have a problem with this OneDrive, and they're like, not us, but we could put you on the cloud. So you have to work through that. All right, enough about my stories. Al, anything you want to share about pitfalls?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things from a pitfall perspective is continuing to assess and store your data in the same manner in which you've been previously doing. There's so many new ways to just make sure that you're finding fresh, innovative ways and to assess all the data that's coming in, slice and dice it, right? But then the other main thing that I'll say is not using that information or using the information to identify opportunities and not leaning in on them. I think one of the key things is just knowing you might feel like, oh, this is too big of a stretch. You can introduce small pivots and improvements, throughout the process. It doesn't have to be a one and done. And so I think just being flexible and really trying to consider new ways in which you're trying to improve experiences for your customers and utilizing your data to monetize for the company, as well as improve your operational efficiencies, but just most importantly, to improve your customer satisfaction with your company and your products.
Well stated. All right, Shauna, bring us home with any other final common pitfalls to avoid.
Yeah, I would just say making sure that you're creating that environment and support structure to be effective at all of these things, especially the innovation piece. I know that's the old saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Making sure that you do have that psychological safety built into it.
Yes.
You're allowing employees the time, right, to actually innovate. If everyone is grinding to no exhaust, then it's going to be challenging for some of those new and bright ideas to come forward. So whether that's leveraging new technology to automate things that can be simplified or rethinking how work's actually done to really build in that time to dedicate to that innovation.
Well, we've heard it from these ladies. They're giving us some golden nuggets. When I think about and reflect on some of the helpful items I want to share back with the audience who might be say, wow, we'd say one tip is to pick up the book, Digital Disciplines by Joe Weinman, give it a read. You can cull through the 4 different disciplines and read through those pretty quickly. There are a bevy of stories wrapped in case studies to make it real and applicable, which is really good. But maybe you should just start with one single discipline that aligns best with your core business strategy or with what you're trying to transform. So I heard what you said, Ericka, in that, hey, I've got it on my Apple Watch. Everything is connected on Apple, and that's how you're kind of making that connected intimacy and sharing your data across one platform holistically. So that's what works for you. But for our audience, we invite you to just take one of these disciplines and start to implement it into your business strategy. And then shift from selling products to providing integrated solutions. So don't just think I'm going to sell one product, but how do I integrate the solution into your entire business process? Yes. I think would also be an impactful way that would add more value to an organization when you look at the disciplines and how to apply them in business. And then some tips that we could give. I heard a couple of tips. Drive innovation, disrupt your own success, get at it every day, iterate to win. The customer is at the center of it all, and be uber flexible. And you'll get a lot out of these disciplines and bringing them life in the workforce. So that's what I walked away with, a couple of helpful hints. I'll leave it to you ladies for what other helpful hints would you share with our audience?
One helpful hint is, I would say, follow thought leaders, listen to podcasts like these, pick up the latest books, delve into AI. AI may not be the solution, but it may be the tool and the teammate that you need. So my helpful hint would be follow the thought leaders, experiment with new tools, and most of all, stay curious.
Stay curious.
That's
All right,
well said.
Shauna, out. Anything? She said deuces to that. Anything else? Is that a mic drop right there? Are we mic dropping it right there?
That's my drop.
I think so. Well said.
Well said. All right, ladies, this has been fun. Thank you for taking a happy hour moment to talk about digital disciplines and sharing your experiences and how we can take what Joe Weinman has in his book and bring it to life. Appreciate you so much. For all you out there, we got 2 Lit Chicks podcast. We have 4 Lit Chicks, and we are giving it back and paying it forward. We are leaders in tech, and we hope that you gathered just a couple of gold nuggets out of today's discussion, and we will see you on the other side. We'll be back next week with another edition of 2 Lit Chicks. Until then, listen, like, and subscribe.